The crystal tumbler slipped from my trembling fingers. I watched it fall, suspended in that infinite second before impact, the amber liquid catching the dim overhead lights, refracting into 1,000 liquid diamonds. Then came the crash, sharp, unforgiving. The sound sliced through the low hum of conversation in the upscale lounge, and every head turned toward the bar, toward me. Heat flooded my cheeks as I dropped to my knees, my worn sneakers squeaking against the polished marble floor. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, though no one was listening. My hands shook as I gathered the jagged pieces, each shard a reminder of how desperately I didn't belong here. "Careful, sweetie." Marcus, the head bartender, crouched beside me with a dustpan. His cologne, something expensive and woody, made my nose itch. "Third one this week. Mr. Castellano's going to notice." My stomach dropped. Mr. Castellano owned the Velvet Rose, this exclusive members-only establishment where crystal cost more than my monthly rent, where I was the newest, clumsiest hire, struggling through my probation period while my daughter's medical bills piled higher each day. "Please don't tell him," I begged, my voice barely audible. "I need this job." Marcus sighed, his expression softening. "Just try to keep it together, okay? These people—" He gestured vaguely toward the leather booths and velvet chairs where Chicago's elite lounged. "They don't notice the help unless we give them a reason to. Invisible." That's what I was. What I needed to stay. I nodded, disposing of the glass and returning to my station behind the mahogany bar. The wood felt cool beneath my palms as I steadied myself, inhaling slowly. Vanilla from the candles, expensive perfume, the faint bitterness of top-shelf liquor. I let the scents ground me, pulling my focus back to the rhythm of pouring, mixing, serving. The Friday night crowd filtered in gradually. Men in tailored suits that probably cost more than my car, women draped in silk and diamonds. They spoke in hushed tones about stocks, acquisitions, political favors. I moved among them like a ghost, refilling glasses, removing empty plates, existing only in the periphery of their gilded world. "Vodka martini extra dry," a woman with ice-blonde hair demanded without looking at me. "Right away, ma'am." My hands worked automatically now, measuring, shaking, straining. The routine calmed me. Pour, shake, serve, smile, repeat. Each task a small victory, bringing me closer to the end of my shift, closer to the paycheck that would cover Lily's next round of medications. I was reaching for the vermouth when the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't loud. Nothing about it was loud, but suddenly the air felt heavier, charged with something I couldn't name. Conversations didn't stop, but they muted, changed quality, like everyone had simultaneously remembered to watch their words. The entrance doors opened with a whisper of hydraulics. I glanced up instinctively, then froze. 3 men entered. No, 2 men flanked a third, and it was him my eyes couldn't leave. He moved with the kind of stillness that suggested coiled violence, every step deliberate, mid-30s perhaps. Dark hair swept back from a face too beautiful to be real, sharp jawline, prominent cheekbones, lips that would have looked soft if not for the hardness in his eyes. Those eyes. Even from across the room, I felt their weight, dark, calculating, missing nothing. His suit was black, perfectly tailored to broad shoulders that tapered to a trim waist. No tie, the top 2 buttons of his white shirt undone, revealing the hollow of his throat. A thin platinum chain glinted there, catching the light. But it wasn't his appearance that made my breath catch. It was the way everyone else reacted to him. Mr. Castellano himself emerged from his office, moving faster than I'd ever seen the elderly man move. The conversations that had merely muted before stopped altogether. Men straightened in their seats. Women adjusted their posture, their expressions shifting from relaxed to carefully neutral. Fear. That's what I was sensing. Respect tinged with unmistakable fear. "Mr. Moretti." "Mr." Castellano's voice carried across the lounge, warm but strained. "We weren't expecting you tonight. Your usual table is not necessary." The younger man's voice was low, smooth like aged whiskey with a dangerous burn underneath. He spoke softly, yet somehow I heard every word. "I'm meeting someone." The corner booth. His eyes swept the room as he moved, and I ducked my head quickly, focusing intently on polishing an already clean glass, my heart hammered against my ribs. I didn't know who he was, but every instinct I possessed screamed danger. The two men who'd entered with him positioned themselves strategically, one near the entrance, one near the hallway to the restrooms. Neither sat. Both wore earpieces, and the kind of alertness that never quite blinked. Security. Or bodyguards. Who needed bodyguards in a place like this? "Elena!" Marcus appeared at my elbow, making me jump. "VIP service for booth 7. Don't mess this up. Who is—" "Don't ask questions. Just bring him whatever he wants. Smile, and for God's sake don't drop anything." My palms were already sweating as I approached booth 7, carrying a leather-bound menu that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. The corner booth was the most secluded in the lounge, surrounded by frosted glass panels that offered privacy while still allowing a view of the entrance. Strategic. Everything about this man seemed strategic. He sat with his back to the wall, one arm draped casually along the booth's edge, but his fingers drummed a slow rhythm against the leather. A platinum watch caught the light, understated, but I recognized the brand. Patek Philippe. 6 figures, minimum. I stopped at a respectful distance. "Good evening, sir. Can I get you something to drink while you wait?" He didn't look at me immediately. His gaze remained fixed on the entrance, tracking something, or someone. When he finally turned those dark eyes my way, the intensity nearly made me step back. "Macallan 25. Neat. 2 glasses." His voice wrapped around me like smoke. Soft, but impossible to ignore. "Right away, sir." I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me. "What's your name?" I glanced back, surprised. In 3 weeks of working here, not one patron had asked my name. "Elena, sir." He studied me for a moment longer than comfortable, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded once, a dismissal. My legs felt unsteady as I returned to the bar. Marcus had already pulled the Macallan, a bottle I'd been explicitly told never to touch without permission, reserved only for the most elite clientele. "Who is he?" I whispered, as Marcus poured the amber liquid into 2 crystal tumblers. "Dante Moretti." Marcus's voice dropped even lower. "Don't stare at him. Don't ask him questions. Don't do anything except exactly what he tells you. But, Elena," Marcus gripped my wrist gently but firmly. "That man owns half of Chicago's underground. The other half doesn't cross him because they want to keep breathing. Understand?" Ice flooded my veins. Mafia. He was talking about the Mafia. I'd heard stories, of course. Everyone in Chicago had, but they were just that. Stories. Urban legends about shadowy figures who controlled things from behind legitimate business fronts. I'd never imagined I'd serve one. The glasses trembled slightly as I carried them back to booth 7, each step feeling like walking toward a cliff's edge. Dante Moretti hadn't moved, but now a second man sat across from him. Older, heavy-set, sweating despite the lounge's cool temperature. "Wasn't my fault," the older man was saying, his voice pitched with desperation. "I was told the shipment would arrive. Excuses bore me, Vincent." Dante's tone remained soft, almost gentle. Somehow that made it more terrifying. "You had one task. You failed. Please, I have a family. So did the men who died because your incompetence allowed that warehouse to be raided." I set the glasses down as quietly as possible, my hands somehow steady despite the terror coursing through me. "Don't look. Don't listen. Don't exist." "Will there be anything else, sir?" My voice came out surprisingly normal. Dante glanced at me, and for just a second, something flickered in those dark eyes. Then it was gone. "No, leave us." I practically fled back to the bar, my pulse racing. Marcus shot me a knowing look but said nothing. I busied myself with unnecessary tasks, trying to ignore the sick feeling in my stomach. What kind of place was this? What had I stumbled into? My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably the hospital calling about Lily again. My baby girl, only 6 years old, fighting leukemia with more courage than I could ever muster. Every treatment cost thousands we didn't have. Every day I feared the call that would tell me the insurance had run out, that there were no more options. That's why I was here. Why I endured the fear, the exhaustion, the constant reminder that I didn't belong. Because invisible Elena Martinez could disappear into this gilded world and emerge with enough money to save her daughter. The older man, Vincent, left booth 7:20 minutes later, his face ashen, his gait unsteady. Dante remained, sipping his whiskey with the patience of a predator who knew his prey had nowhere to run. Then his phone rang. Even from across the room, I saw him tense. He answered, listened, then spoke 2 words. "Handle it." He stood abruptly, his bodyguards moving instantly to flank him. But as he strode toward the exit, his eyes swept the lounge one final time and landed directly on me. Our gazes locked for perhaps 3 seconds. 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. His expression revealed nothing, but I felt examined, catalogued, seen in a way that made me want to hide. Then he was gone, taking that oppressive presence with him. The lounge seemed to exhale collectively. "See?" Marcus said beside me, startling me again. "Invisible. That's how you survive around men like that." But as I cleaned booth 7 later, carefully collecting the 2 glasses, one still full, one empty, I couldn't shake the feeling that Dante Moretti had seen me, really seen me, and somehow, that felt more dangerous than anything else tonight. I was wiping down the table when I found it. A platinum money clip tucked into the booth's leather seating. My breath caught. The clip alone was probably worth thousands, but the bills inside. I counted quickly, my hands shaking. $10,000. My first instinct was to call Marcus, to turn it in, to do the right thing. But then I thought of Lily's pale face in that hospital bed, the bills I couldn't pay, the treatments we couldn't afford. This money could save her, could buy me time. But it belonged to a man who made grown men sweat with fear. A man whose business involved warehouses being raided and people dying. I stood there, frozen, the money clip burning in my palm like stolen fire. What would he do if I kept it? What would happen to Lily if I didn't? Before I could decide, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Hello?" "Elena Martinez." That smoke-smooth voice, Dante Moretti. "I believe you have something of mine." My heart stopped. The phone felt like ice against my ear. Yes, sir. I found your money clip. I was just about to keep it." Silence stretched between us, thick with confusion. I stared at the platinum clip in my trembling hand, certain I'd misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" "You heard me." A pause, filled with something I couldn't identify. "Consider it a tip for your discretion tonight. $10,000. As a tip. For not eavesdropping on a conversation I desperately tried to ignore." "That's too much. I can't. You need it." It wasn't a question. Somehow, he knew. "Your daughter. The hospital bills. Medical debt doesn't discriminate, does it, Elena?" Cold dread washed over me, replacing the shock. "How do you know about Lily? I make it my business to know things." His voice remained soft, almost kind, which made the invasion feel worse. "St. Catherine's Children's Hospital. Stage 3 acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Insurance maxed out 3 months ago. You're drowning in debt, working 2 jobs, barely sleeping." My legs gave out. I sank onto the booth's leather seat. The phone pressed so hard against my ear it hurt. "You investigated me?" "I investigate everyone who works in establishments I frequent." Matter of fact, as if researching struggling single mothers was perfectly reasonable. "You're clean. No criminal record. No debts beyond medical. You keep your head down, work hard, love your daughter. Admirable." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I blinked them back. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because that money isn't charity, Elena. It's insurance." "Insurance for what?" "For your silence. For your continued discretion. For understanding that what you see and hear in the Velvet Rose stays there." A breath, deliberate. "Can you do that? Could I? Should I?" Everything about this felt wrong. The money, the knowledge he had about my life, the implication that I was somehow complicit in whatever darkness he represented. But Lily's face floated before me. Those big brown eyes, so much like her father's before he abandoned us. The way she smiled even through the pain, trusting that Mommy would fix everything. "Yes," I whispered, "I can do that. Good girl." Something in his tone shifted, warmed slightly. "Use it wisely. And Elena?" "Yes?" "If you ever need anything at all, you have my number now." The line went dead. I sat there for 10 minutes, clutching the money clip, trying to understand what had just happened. A Mafia boss had given me $10,000. Had investigated my entire life, had offered... What? Protection? Help? Or had I just sold my soul without realizing it? Marcus found me eventually, his expression concerned. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine." I stood quickly, pocketing the money clip. "Just tired. Go home. Get some rest. You've earned it. Home." My tiny apartment in Pilsen, where the radiator clanged all night and the neighbor's dog never stopped barking. Where Lily's room held more medical equipment than toys, and the walls were covered in her crayon drawings of butterflies and flowers. Symbols of hope I clung to desperately. The drive took 40 minutes through Chicago's midnight streets. I parked my ancient Honda in the building's crumbling lot and climbed 3 flights of stairs, each step heavy with exhaustion and confusion. Mrs. Chen, my elderly neighbor who watched Lily during my shifts, dozed in the armchair. She woke when I entered, smiling through her fatigue. "How was work, dear?" "Fine." "How was she?" "Sleeping now. Had a good day, ate all her dinner, did some coloring." Mrs. Chen gathered her knitting needles and stood slowly. "She asked for you, though. Always asks for you." Guilt twisted in my chest. "Thank you for staying. I don't know what I'd do without you." "Nonsense. That child is a joy." She patted my arm. "You're doing your best, Elena. That's all any mother can do." After she left, I locked the door and moved quietly to Lily's room. The nightlight cast soft shadows across her sleeping face. So small, so fragile, her dark hair spread across the pillow like silk. The IV stand beside her bed gleamed dully, a constant reminder of her battle. I knelt beside her, pressing a kiss to her forehead. She stirred slightly, murmuring something about butterflies before settling back into sleep. "I'll keep you safe," I whispered. "Whatever it takes. Even if it means accepting money from dangerous men." 3 days passed without incident. I deposited the money, explaining to the skeptical bank teller that it was a large tip from a generous patron, and immediately paid off Lily's most urgent medical bills. The relief was physical, a weight lifted from my shoulders that had been crushing me for months. But the memory of Dante Moretti's voice lingered, smooth, certain, knowing far too much about my life. I returned to the Velvet Rose for my Thursday shift, half expecting him to appear. He didn't. The lounge operated as usual, wealthy patrons, expensive drinks, my invisible presence behind the bar. Marcus seemed relieved that I hadn't quit. "You're doing better," he observed Friday evening as I prepared a complicated cocktail without spilling anything. More confident, because I'd slept. Really slept. For the first time in months, knowing Lily's immediate care was covered. Because the panic that had been my constant companion had eased, just slightly. Because I'd made a deal with the devil, and so far, he hadn't collected. Saturday night arrived with unexpected winter rain. The lounge was quieter than usual, the weather keeping even Chicago's elite at home. I worked the early shift, grateful for the slower pace. I was restocking the top-shelf vodka when I heard it. That shift in atmosphere, the subtle change that made my skin prickle with awareness. I turned slowly, already knowing what I'd see. Dante Moretti stood just inside the entrance, water droplets glistening in his dark hair. He wore charcoal gray tonight. Suit, shirt, even his tie was a shade darker. The effect made him look like a storm given human form. His eyes found mine immediately. My heart stuttered. He moved toward the bar. Not his usual corner booth, but directly to where I stood. The 2 bodyguards who'd accompanied him positioned themselves at strategic points, their presence both obvious and intimidating. "Elena." My name sounded different in his voice, intimate somehow, despite the public setting. Vodka martini, dry. Not his usual Macallan, not his usual booth. My hands shook slightly as I prepared the drink, hyper-aware of his gaze tracking my every movement. Pour, shake, strain. The routine should have calmed me, but proximity to him made everything feel charged, dangerous. I set the glass before him, proud that it didn't rattle. "Will there be anything else, sir?" "Dante." He lifted the glass, studying the clear liquid. "When we're alone, you call me Dante." We weren't alone. Marcus was 10 feet away, 2 other bartenders worked the far end, and at least 20 patrons occupied the lounge. But somehow, it felt like only the 2 of us existed. "I shouldn't." "You used the money well," not a question. A statement. "Your daughter's immediate treatments are covered. You slept properly for the first time in 4 months." How did he know I'd slept? Had he been watching? The thought should have terrified me. Instead, a strange warmth bloomed in my chest. Someone had noticed my exhaustion, my struggle, my relief. "Thank you," I managed. "I don't know how to repay." "Don't." His tone sharpened slightly. "That money was a gift, not a loan. You owe me nothing. Then why—" "Who were you talking to?" He interrupted, his eyes suddenly intense. "Tuesday night, after closing. In the parking lot, confusion swept through me. Tuesday? I'd talked to Mrs. Chen briefly when she'd helped carry Lily to the car for a late hospital appointment, and then— "My ex-husband called," I said slowly, remembering the unwelcome conversation. "Asking for money, as usual. I told him no." Something dark flashed across Dante's face. "Your ex-husband." The words came out flat, dangerous. "Lily's father. He's not her father," I corrected, surprised by the venom in my own voice. "Fathers don't abandon sick children because treatment costs too much and life gets hard." Dante's fingers tightened around his glass. "What's his name?" "Why?" "His name, Elena." The command in his voice made me answer automatically. David Torres. But he's not, he's irrelevant. He hasn't been part of our lives in over a year. He called you at 11:43 p.m. on Tuesday. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. He asked you for $8,000. Dante recited the facts like reading a report. An ice slid down my spine. You refused. He became aggressive. You hung up. "You were listening?" My voice rose slightly, drawing a glance from Marcus. I lowered it immediately. "You had someone watching me?" "I protect what's mine." The possessiveness in those words stole my breath. We're not, I barely know you. You took my money. You agreed to my terms. That creates a connection." He leaned forward slightly, and I caught his scent. Expensive cologne, rain, and something darker underneath. "Whether you acknowledge it or not." This was insane. He was a criminal, a dangerous man who made people disappear and controlled Chicago's underworld. I should run, quit this job, take Lily and disappear, but I didn't move. "I don't understand what you want from me," I whispered. His eyes softened fractionally. "I haven't decided yet." Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression hardening instantly. When he looked back at me, the momentary softness had vanished, replaced by cold calculation. "I need to go." "But Elena—" He stood, adjusting his cufflinks with practiced ease. "Stay away from your ex-husband. If he contacts you again, you tell me immediately. I can handle—" "You think you can?" He moved closer, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact, close enough that I felt the heat radiating from him. But men like David Torres are parasites. They sense weakness and exploit it. You're vulnerable right now, and that makes you a target. I've been vulnerable my entire life. I shot back, finding unexpected courage. I've survived just fine. A slow smile curved his lips. The first genuine smile I'd seen from him. It transformed his face from coldly beautiful to devastatingly handsome. "You have spirit. I like that." Then he was gone, his bodyguards falling into formation around him as they exited into the rain. I stood there, gripping the bar's edge, trying to process what had just happened. Marcus appeared at my elbow. "What did he say to you?" "Nothing important." The lie tasted bitter. "Elena." Marcus's voice dropped to barely audible. "Be careful. Dante Moretti doesn't talk to people, especially not service staff, unless he has a reason. And his reasons are never simple." I nodded mutely, but my mind was already elsewhere. Dante had been watching me, had someone monitoring my calls, my movements, had inserted himself into my life with the casual arrogance of someone accustomed to owning things. Should I be terrified? I was. But beneath the terror lurked something else. Something warm and dangerous and utterly foolish. For the first time in years, someone powerful was looking at me, really looking at me, and seeing more than just invisible Elena, the struggling single mother, the girl who'd never be good enough. Dante Moretti saw me, and God help me, part of me wanted to be seen. My shift ended at midnight. The rain had intensified, turning the streets into rivers of reflected neon. I ran to my car, already soaked by the time I reached it. The engine sputtered twice before catching. I made a mental note to schedule maintenance I couldn't afford, then pulled out of the lot. I was halfway home when I noticed the headlights behind me. Black SUV. Expensive. Following at a consistent distance through every turn. My heart rate spiked. Was it Dante's people? Or someone else? I drove faster, taking a random turn. The SUV followed. Another turn. Still there. Panic clawed at my throat. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, pulling up the unknown number from 3 days ago. It rang once before he answered. "Someone's following me," I gasped. "I know." Dante's voice was calm, utterly unruffled. "That's my driver. He's making sure you get home safely." Relief and anger warred within me. "You can't just—" "I can and I will. You're under my protection now, Elena. Accept it. This is crazy. This is how I keep what's mine safe." A pause. "Drive home. Marcus will follow you inside, check your apartment, then leave. This is not negotiable." The line went dead. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The SUV maintained its distance, neither threatening nor yielding. Protection or possession. I wasn't sure there was a difference anymore. The SUV followed me all the way to my building, idling at the curb as I parked. A man emerged, not one of the bodyguards from the lounge, but someone new. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. He wore dark jeans and a leather jacket, looking more like a bouncer than a chauffeur. "Marcus?" He introduced himself gruffly, though his eyes were kind. "Mr. Moretti asked me to make sure everything's secure. That's not necessary. Ma'am, with respect, I have my orders." He gestured toward the building's entrance. "After you." What choice did I have? I led him upstairs, each step feeling surreal. A week ago, I was invisible. Now I had a Mafia boss's driver escorting me home like I was someone important, someone worth protecting. Mrs. Chen opened her door as we reached my floor, her eyes widening at the sight of Marcus. I gave her what I hoped was a reassuring smile. Just a friend making sure I got home safe. The rain, you know. She nodded slowly, clearly unconvinced, but retreated into her apartment. Inside, Lily still slept peacefully, her small chest rising and falling with each breath. Marcus moved through the apartment efficiently, checking windows, the fire escape, even inside closets. His professionalism made the whole situation feel both more legitimate and more absurd. "All clear," he announced quietly, careful not to wake Lily. "I'll be outside for a few hours. If you need anything, call this number." He handed me a card with a single phone number printed on it. "Don't hesitate." Why is he doing this? The question escaped before I could stop it. Marcus paused at the door, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Moretti doesn't explain himself to anyone, ma'am. But if he's protecting you, there's a reason. Best not to question it." After he left, I locked the door and leaned against it, my legs suddenly weak. Through the window, I could see the SUV parked below, a silent sentinel in the rain-soaked night. Sleep came fitfully, haunted by dark eyes and dangerous promises. Sunday morning arrived with pale sunshine filtering through my threadbare curtains. Lily woke early, her energy surprisingly good, a rare gift I treasured. We spent the morning on the couch, her curled against my side as we watched her favorite cartoons. "Mama?" She looked up at me with those impossibly large eyes. "Are we going to be okay?" My heart clenched. 6 years old, and she already carried the weight of our situation. "Of course, baby. Why would you ask that?" "Mrs. Chen said you've been working a lot. that you're tired. She twisted a strand of my hair around her finger. A nervous habit. I don't want you to be sad anymore. Tears blurred my vision. I pulled her closer, pressing kisses into her hair. I'm not sad when I'm with you. You're my sunshine, remember? You're Butterfly, she corrected, using the nickname I'd given her when she was born. Butterflies are stronger than sunshine. They absolutely are. We spent the afternoon coloring, her favorite activity. She drew elaborate gardens filled with flowers and butterflies while I sketched clumsy houses and trees. Normal. This was normal, and I clung to it desperately. My phone buzzed around 3, unknown number, but I recognized it now. I stepped into the kitchen before answering. Hello? How is she today? Dante's voice smooth and concerned, as if checking on sick children was perfectly natural for a crime lord. Better. Good energy. I kept my voice low. How did you... I have her medical records. I know her bad days from her good ones. A pause. There's a specialist at Northwestern Memorial. Dr. Sarah Chen. She's one of the best pediatric oncologists in the country. I can't afford... You're not listening, Elena. I've already arranged a consultation. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Transportation will be provided. Anger flared, hot and sudden. You can't just make decisions about my daughter without asking me. I can. And I did. No apology in his tone. This doctor could extend Lily's life, improve her prognosis significantly. Would you refuse that because of pride? The words hit like a physical blow. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Elena, but I'm offering you a chance to change yours. Take it. He hung up before I could respond. I stood there, gripping the phone, torn between gratitude and fury. He was right. Damn him, he was right. If this doctor could help Lily, I'd swallow my pride, my fear, my objections. I'd accept help from the devil himself. Maybe I already had. Monday night at the Velvet Rose felt different. I moved through my shift hyper-aware, waiting for Dante to appear. He didn't. But his presence lingered anyway, in the way other patrons glanced at me with new curiosity, in Marcus's protective nods from across the room, in the weight of the phone number burning in my pocket. Tuesday morning dawned cold and clear. The black SUV arrived at 8:30, Marcus behind the wheel. Lily's eyes went wide as we climbed into the leather interior. Mama, whose car is this? A friend's, I lied, buckling her in. He's helping us get to your appointment. Northwestern Memorial towered above us, all glass and steel in intimidating efficiency. Marcus escorted us to the oncology wing, where a receptionist immediately recognized our names and ushered us to a private waiting area. This is fancy, Lily whispered, taking in the comfortable chairs and children's play area. Are we in the right place? Before I could answer, a woman in her late 40s entered, Asian, elegant, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Elena, I'm Dr. Chen, and you must be Lily. She shook my daughter's hand solemnly, treating her like a person rather than a patient. I liked her immediately. The examination was thorough, gentle, and hopeful. Chen explained treatment options I'd never heard of, clinical trials that showed promise, alternative therapies that could reduce side effects. She spoke directly to Lily when appropriate, including her in decisions about her own care. Your current treatment protocol is outdated, Dr. Chen said finally, meeting my eyes. I'd like to enroll Lily in a trial we're conducting. It's showing remarkable results, 78% remission rate for her specific leukemia type. What's the cost? The question lodged in my throat. The trial covers all treatment costs. You'd only be responsible for standard hospital fees, which, she glanced at her tablet, have also been covered by a benefactor. Your only expense would be time and commitment to the treatment schedule. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I tried to wipe them away quickly, not wanting to frighten Lily, but they kept coming. I don't understand. Why would someone... Because your daughter deserves a chance. Dr. Chen's voice softened. And because someone believes you both deserve relief from this burden. Dante. This was all Dante. The appointment concluded with paperwork, treatment schedules, and a prescription for new medications. As we left, Lily clutched a stuffed butterfly the nursing staff had given her, her smile brighter than I'd seen in months. "Mama, I like this doctor. She's nice." "She is, baby. She's going to help you get better." "Will I lose my hair?" Practical question. Pragmatic child. "Maybe. But it'll grow back even more beautiful." "Like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon?" "Exactly like that." Marcus drove us home in comfortable silence. As we pulled up to my building, he handed me a sealed envelope. From Mr. Moretti. Inside, a note in bold, masculine handwriting. "You're welcome. Come to the Velvet Rose tonight. We need to talk. D." The paper trembled in my hand. A summons, not an invitation. Mrs. Chen agreed to watch Lily that evening, though her expression remained worried. "Are you in some kind of trouble, dear?" "No," I assured her. "Just complicated gratitude." The Velvet Rose felt different that night. Tuesday was traditionally slower, but tonight, the lounge buzzed with an unusual tension. Men in expensive suits occupied every booth, their conversations hushed and urgent. I recognized some faces from news broadcasts, politicians, businessmen, people who made Chicago run, and in the corner booth, surrounded by a subtle perimeter of bodyguards, sat Dante Moretti. He wore navy tonight, the color making his dark eyes appear almost black. His attention was fixed on a tablet before him, but the moment I entered, his gaze lifted and locked onto mine. My breath caught. He gestured slightly. "Come here." My feet carried me forward on autopilot. The bodyguard stepped aside, allowing me passage into his domain. Up close, I could see the faint stubble along his jaw, the slight shadows beneath his eyes suggesting he slept as poorly as I did. "Sit." Not a request. I slid into the booth across from him, my hands clasped tightly in my lap. "Thank you for Dr. Chen, for everything. I don't know how to..." "Did she accept the treatment protocol?" "Yes. We start next week." Satisfaction flickered across his features. "Good. Lily will respond well. Dr. Chen is the best." "Why are you doing this?" The question burst out. "You don't know us. We're nothing to you." "You're not nothing." His voice dropped lower, intimate despite the public setting. "You're mine, Elena. The moment you accepted that money, you became mine to protect, mine to care for. Mine." The possessiveness should have frightened me. Instead, warmth bloomed in my chest, dangerous and intoxicating. I didn't agree to belong to anyone. "Didn't you?" He leaned forward, and suddenly the space between us felt charged. "You took my money. You let my driver follow you home. You brought your daughter to my doctor. Every choice you've made has bound you tighter to me. That's not fair. I told you before. Life isn't fair." His eyes held mine captive. "But I am offering you something fair, Elena. Protection, security, everything you need for Lily and for yourself. All I ask in return is loyalty." Loyalty to a criminal? The words escaped before I could stop them. Instead of anger, amusement curved his lips. Criminal is such a harsh word. I prefer businessman with flexible ethics. The humor faded quickly. "But yes, Elena, I'm asking you to be loyal to a man who operates outside the law, who does terrible things to maintain power, who would burn this city down to protect what's his." "And what am I to you, exactly?" The question hung between us, heavy with implications I wasn't ready to examine. "I haven't decided yet," he repeated his words from days ago. "But I will. Soon." One of his bodyguards approached, leaning down to whisper something. Dante's expression hardened instantly. "Excuse me. Business." He stood, then paused. "Don't leave. I'll return shortly." He disappeared into a back room I'd never noticed before, taking his security with him. I sat alone in the booth, my mind spinning. This was madness. Complete, utter madness. But Lily had a chance now, a real chance at survival, at life beyond hospital rooms and medical bills. How could I turn away from that? 20 minutes passed, 30. I was debating whether to leave when raised voices echoed from somewhere beyond the lounge, not shouting exactly, but intense, angry. Then a crash. Glass breaking, the lounge's main doors burst open. A man stumbled in. David, my ex-husband. His clothes were disheveled, his eyes wild with desperation and something else. Drugs, probably. He'd always had a weakness for substances when life got difficult. Elena. He spotted me immediately, lurching toward the booth. There you are. You think you can ignore my calls? Refuse me when I need help? I stood quickly, putting the table between us. David, you need to leave. This isn't the place. Isn't the place? He laughed, high and manic. I heard about your fancy new job. About the money you suddenly have. You can afford that specialist for Lily, but you can't help me out? That money isn't mine. Bullshit. You always had money hidden away, always holding out on me. He grabbed my wrist, his grip bruising. I'm Lily's father. I have rights. You have nothing. The voice came from behind David, cold as winter ice. Dante stood there, flanked by his bodyguards. But it was him, the controlled fury radiating from him, that made David release me and stumble backward. Who the hell are you? David demanded, trying for bravado and failing. The man who's going to make you wish you'd stayed away. Dante moved forward with predatory grace. You grabbed her. Put your hands on what's mine. Yours? David's drug-addled brain finally caught up with his situation. His face paled. Look, man, I didn't know she was we have history, and you abandoned your daughter when she needed you most. You've harassed Elena for money you have no right to. And now... Dante's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, somehow more terrifying than any shout. You put your hands on her in my establishment. 2 bodyguards grabbed David, immobilizing him instantly. Dante, please. I found my voice. He's not worth it. Just let him go. He hurt you. Dante's eyes never left David's face. No one hurts what's mine. I'm not... Yes, you are. He finally looked at me, and the intensity in his gaze stole my breath. You are mine, Elena. The sooner you accept that, the easier this becomes. He turned back to David, who'd begun whimpering. Get him out of here. Make sure he understands that if he ever contacts Elena again, ever speaks her name, thinks about her, breathes near her, there won't be enough left of him to identify. They dragged David out through a back exit, his protests fading into the night. Silence descended on the lounge. The other patrons had very deliberately returned to their conversations, seeing nothing, hearing nothing. Dante approached me slowly, gently taking my wrist where David had grabbed it. A bruise was already forming, purple against my pale skin. His jaw clenched. Did he hurt you anywhere else? No. I'm fine. You're not fine. His thumb traced the bruise with devastating gentleness. But you will be. I promise you that. This is insane, I whispered. All of this. You can't just claim people. I can claim you. His eyes met mine, dark and certain. Because you don't want to be invisible anymore, do you, Elena? You want someone to see you, to protect you, to make sure you and Lily never struggle again. He was right. God help me, he was absolutely right. I'm terrified of you, I admitted. Good. He smiled slightly. Fear will keep you careful, but Elena... He lifted my chin with gentle fingers, forcing me to maintain eye contact. I will never hurt you. Never. You and Lily are under my protection now, and that means something. It means everything. What do you want from me? Everything. Simple, honest, devastating. Your trust, your loyalty, your presence. I want you to stop fighting this connection between us and accept that you're mine now. I barely know you. Then let's fix that. He released me, gesturing to the booth. Sit. Talk to me. Tell me about Lily, about your dreams, about who Elena Martinez is beyond the struggling mother and invisible bartender. And despite every logical thought screaming at me to run, I sat. Because Dante Moretti saw me, and I was tired of being invisible. We talked until the lounge closed. Not about his business. He deflected those questions with practiced ease. Instead, he asked about Lily. About her favorite colors, purple and yellow, her obsession with butterflies. She'd made me promise to take her to a butterfly conservatory when she got better. Her surprising vocabulary. She read constantly, devouring books faster than I could borrow them from the library. She sounds remarkable, Dante said, genuine warmth in his voice, like her mother. Heat crept up my neck. I'm not remarkable. I'm just trying to survive. Survival takes remarkable strength. He poured more water into my glass. I'd refused alcohol, needing my wits sharp around him. Tell me about before Lily got sick. So I did. I told him about community college classes I'd abandoned when David left, about dreams of becoming a teacher that felt impossibly distant now, about my mother, who died when I was 19, leaving me alone in a city that didn't care about girls like me, about the art I used to create, charcoal drawings mostly, sketches of Chicago's architecture and hidden corners. You gave up a lot, he observed. I didn't give up anything. I chose Lily. Every time I choose her. What if you didn't have to choose? He leaned back, studying me with that intense focus that made me feel simultaneously exposed and cherished. What if you could have both? Lily's health and your dreams. That's not how life works, not for people like me. It is now. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I'm enrolling you in courses at DePaul. Spring semester starts in January, part-time, flexible schedule, education degree, since that's what you wanted. My mouth fell open. You can't just... I can. I did. He silenced my protest with a raised hand. Your tuition is paid. Your books are covered. You'll attend classes while Lily's in treatment, and Mrs. Chen will continue watching her when needed, at triple her current rate. Dante, this is not negotiable, Elena. His voice gentled. You've spent years sacrificing everything for your daughter. Let me give you something back. Tears threatened again. I blinked them away furiously. Why? Why would you do all this for someone you barely know? He was quiet for a long moment, his fingers drumming that slow rhythm against the table. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight I hadn't heard before. When I was 7, my mother got sick. Cancer. Like Lily. My father. He was nothing then. Just a low-level enforcer trying to climb the ranks. We had no money, no insurance, no options. I held my breath, sensing something important. She died 6 months later, painful, slow, undignified. And I watched my father break from it. He became ruthless, driven by the promise he'd made to her dying body, that no one in our family would ever suffer like that again, that he'd build an empire that could protect us from life's cruelties. Dante's eyes met mine. He succeeded, built something powerful from nothing. But my mother was already gone. Understanding dawned. Lily reminds you of... No. He cut me off sharply. Lily reminds me of every child who deserves a chance my mother never got. And you, his voice softened. You remind me that not everyone who struggles is weak, that sometimes the strongest people are the ones barely holding on. The vulnerability in his admission stole my breath. This dangerous man, this criminal who made others tremble, had just exposed something raw and precious. I don't know what to say, I whispered. Say you'll accept my help. Say you'll stop fighting me at every turn. He reached across the table, his hand palm up, an invitation rather than a demand. Say you'll let me take care of you, Elena. I stared at his hand, strong, scarred across the knuckles, capable of both violence and tenderness. Every rational part of my brain screamed warnings, but my heart, that traitorous organ, yearned toward him like a flower-seeking sun. Slowly, I placed my hand in his. His fingers closed around mine, warm and secure, and something clicked into place, something that felt dangerously like belonging. There, he murmured. Was that so difficult? Terrifying, I admitted. Absolutely terrifying. His smile was genuine, transforming his features. Good. That means you're smart. He stood, pulling me gently to my feet. Come. I'll drive you home. You don't have to. I want to. The drive through Chicago's sleeping streets felt surreal. Dante drove himself, a sleek black Mercedes with interior that smelled of leather and his cologne. Classical music played softly through the speakers, something mournful and beautiful. Chopin, he said, noticing my attention. Nocturnes. My mother used to play them. She was a pianist. Before marriage, before children, before cancer. She was going to perform professionally. Sadness tinged his voice, another dream sacrificed. We pulled up to my building far too quickly. Dante killed the engine but made no move to leave. Instead, he turned to me, his expression serious. "David won't bother you again. I've made certain of that." "What did you do to him?" Part of me didn't want to know. Part of me desperately needed to. "Nothing permanent. Yet." His tone hardened. "But he understands now that you're protected. That touching you means death." The casual way he mentioned death should have horrified me. Instead, a twisted sense of safety washed over me. No one had ever protected me before. Not like this. I should go. "Mrs. Chen will worry. Elena." He caught my hand as I reached for the door. "One more thing." I turned back, finding his face inches from mine. My breath hitched. "I meant what I said. You're mine now. That means no other men, no dates, no flirtations, nothing." Possessiveness burned in his eyes. "Understand? We're not. You haven't." I stumbled over the words. What exactly are we? I don't know yet. Honesty, brutal and raw. But I know I want you. I know I think about you constantly. I know seeing that bruise on your wrist made me want to tear your ex-husband apart with my bare hands. He lifted our joined hands, pressing his lips to my bruised wrist with devastating gentleness. "So until I figure out exactly what this is, you're mine. Exclusively. That's not fair. You can't claim exclusivity without..." "Can't I?" A challenge in his voice. "Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me you don't lie awake thinking about me, wondering what it would be like to stop fighting and just surrender." I couldn't. Because he was right. "I'm scared," I whispered. "I know." He cupped my face with his free hand, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. "But I've got you, Elena. I've got you and Lily both. You're safe now. I promise." Then he leaned in and kissed me, soft at first, gentle, giving me space to pull away. But I didn't. Instead, I melted into him, my hand fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, turned hungry, desperate, like we were both drowning and each other was air. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "Go inside before I do something we're not ready for," he murmured. I nodded mutely, climbing out of the car on shaking legs. At my building's entrance, I turned back. He'd rolled down his window, watching me with an intensity that made my knees weak. "Good night, Dante. Good night, Elena. Sleep well, knowing you're protected." I watched him drive away before heading upstairs, my fingers pressed to my lips, still feeling the ghost of his kiss. Mrs. Chen took one look at my face and smiled knowingly. Complicated gratitude indeed. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of new normalcy. Lily started her treatment protocol at Northwestern, responding better than anyone dared hope. The clinical trial drugs made her tired, but didn't trigger the violent nausea her previous treatments had. She even gained a little weight, color returning to her pale cheeks. Dr. Chen was cautiously optimistic. "Her numbers are improving. If this continues, we might see remission by spring." Spring. The word felt like prayer, like promise. I enrolled in classes at DePaul: Introduction to Education Theory, Child Psychology, Mathematics for Elementary Teachers. The campus felt foreign at first, surrounded by students who'd never had to choose between textbooks and groceries. But gradually, I found my rhythm. Studied during Lily's treatment sessions, completed assignments while she slept. Mrs. Chen, thrilled by her increased pay, practically glowed with pride over her expanded role in our lives. And Dante wove himself into the fabric of my existence with quiet persistence. He didn't visit the Velvet Rose often, but when he did, his eyes found mine immediately. Sometimes he'd sit at the bar, watching me work with possessive satisfaction. Other times he'd summon me to his booth, asking about Lily's progress, my classes, my day. He sent flowers to the apartment, never roses, always wildflowers that reminded me of freedom rather than romance. He arranged for my car to be serviced, replacing parts I didn't know were broken. He had groceries delivered weekly, always with Lily's favorite snacks included. Small things. Constant things. Things that said, I'm here. I'm watching. You're mine. We didn't kiss again, though the tension between us built with every interaction. He'd touch my hand, my wrist, the small of my back when guiding me through doorways. Each touch burned, leaving me aching for more, but he maintained distance, as if waiting for something. I didn't realize what until Thursday night, 3 weeks after David's confrontation. I was leaving the Velvet Rose after closing when Marcus approached, his expression apologetic. Mr. Moretti requests your presence. There's a situation. Dread pooled in my stomach. What kind of situation? He'll explain. Please, ma'am. It's important. We drove through Chicago's dark streets to a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Industrial. Abandoned. The kind of place people disappeared into. The Mercedes pulled up to a warehouse. Its exterior nondescript, but guarded by multiple men with weapons barely concealed. Marcus led me inside. The warehouse interior had been converted into something between an office and a fortress. Expensive furniture contrasted with concrete floors and exposed beams. Security monitors lined one wall, showing various locations throughout the city, and in the center, seated behind a massive desk, was Dante. He stood immediately when I entered, concern flickering across his features. Elena, I'm sorry to call you here so late. What's wrong? Is it Lily? Panic edged my voice. No, Lily's fine. He came around the desk, taking my hands. This is about something else. Someone else. He gestured to a chair in the corner. David sat there, bound and gagged, his face bruised, eyes wide with terror. My stomach dropped. Dante, what? He violated our agreement, Dante said calmly, as if discussing weather rather than a bound man. Made contact with Lily's hospital. Tried to claim parental rights, hoping to access her medical trust fund. White-hot rage replaced my fear. He did what? The hospital denied him, of course. I'd already ensured that. But the attempt... Dante's voice hardened. The attempt was enough. He pulled a gun from his desk drawer, the metal gleaming dully under the warehouse lights. My breath stopped. I brought you here because this decision affects you and Lily, because he's her biological father, regardless of his abandonment. Dante held the weapon loosely, almost carelessly. You get to choose, Elena. I can end him now, permanently remove this threat. Or I can let him live, knowing he might resurface someday. Might try again to hurt you or claim Lily. You're asking me to decide whether you kill him? My voice came out strangled. I'm giving you power over the situation. Over him. Dante's eyes held mine. He took your power once, abandoned you when you needed him most. Now you take it back. David made muffled sounds behind his gag, shaking his head frantically. I looked at him. This man I'd once loved, who'd given me Lily but couldn't handle the responsibility of fatherhood. Who'd run when life got difficult, leaving us to drown. I should have felt something. Pity, perhaps. Residual affection. Something human. I felt nothing. If you let him live, can you guarantee he'll never come near us again? Yes. Dante's certainty was absolute. I'll ensure it. Then let him live. I met David's terrified eyes, but make him understand that he's dead to us. That if he ever speaks Lily's name again, if he ever thinks about approaching us, you'll finish this. Satisfaction gleamed in Dante's expression. He turned to his men. You heard her. Take him to the border. Make sure he comprehends the consequences of return. They dragged David away, his muffled protests fading. I stood there shaking, unable to process what I'd just participated in. Dante set the gun down, approaching me carefully. Are you all right? I essentially threatened a man's life. You protected your daughter. There's a difference. He pulled me against him, his arms encircling me with unexpected gentleness. You did well, Elena. You're stronger than you realize. I buried my face in his chest, breathing in his scent, letting his solidity anchor me. Is this my life now? Making decisions about who lives or dies? No. This was an exception, a singular moment. He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. But it was important that you understood. I will do anything to protect you and Lily. Anything. And I wanted you to have agency in that protection. You're insane. Probably. a slight smile. But I'm your insanity now. He kissed me then, deeper than before, more demanding. His hands tangled in my hair, holding me captive, and I surrendered to it, to him, to this dark, dangerous connection that defied every logical thought. When we broke apart, his eyes had darkened with desire. Come home with me tonight. It wasn't a question, but it wasn't quite a command either, a request from a man who wasn't used to requesting anything. I can't. Lily is with Mrs. Chen, who I've already compensated for the night. Your daughter is safe, cared for, and completely unaware of any of this. His thumb traced my lower lip. Come home with me, Elena. Let me show you what it means to be mine. Every rational thought screamed at me to refuse, to maintain boundaries, to protect myself, but I was tired of being rational. Tired of boundaries. Tired of protecting myself from the one person who actually wanted to protect me. Okay, I whispered. His smile was victorious, possessive, and devastatingly beautiful. Then let's go home. Dante's home wasn't what I expected. I'd imagined something ostentatious, a mansion dripping with excess, all marble and gold leaf. Instead, Marcus drove us to a modern high-rise in River North, its glass exterior reflecting the city lights like captured stars. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor. The elevator opened directly into the living space. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Chicago's glittering skyline. Minimalist furniture in blacks and grays. Art that looked museum quality on the walls. It's beautiful, I breathed, moving toward the windows. Lake Michigan stretched beyond, dark water meeting darker sky. It's private. Dante came up behind me, his hands settling on my waist. Secure. No one reaches this floor without my permission. A gilded cage, beautiful and isolated. The thought should have frightened me. Instead, I leaned back into his warmth, letting myself feel safe for the first time in years. Tell me something, I said quietly. Something real. Not the dangerous crime lord, not the generous benefactor, just Dante. His breath stirred my hair. For a long moment he was silent. Then, I'm afraid. I turned in his arms, surprised. Of what? Of this. Of you. His hands framed my face with devastating gentleness. I've controlled everything in my life through power and fear. But with you, I have no control. You've gotten under my skin, into my thoughts, and I can't get you out. Don't want to get you out. That terrifies you? Completely. A wry smile. Caring about someone is dangerous in my world. It creates vulnerabilities. Enemies can exploit care, use it as a weapon. Then why let me in? Because the alternative, living without you, is worse. He pulled me closer, until no space existed between us. I've been alone a long time, Elena. Built walls so high nothing could touch me. Then you appeared behind that bar, invisible and struggling, and something in me recognized something in you. What did you recognize? Survival. Strength. The refusal to break no matter how much weight life piles on. His lips brushed my forehead. You're remarkable. And you don't even know it. I rose on my toes, pressing my lips to his. The kiss started gentle, but quickly turned hungry, desperate, as if we'd both been starving and finally found sustenance. His hands moved over me, my back, my waist, tangling in my hair. Possessive but reverent. Elena. He murmured against my mouth. If we do this, there's no going back. You're mine completely. Say yes. Yes. The word escaped without hesitation. Yes, Dante. I'm yours. Something fierce and triumphant flashed in his eyes. Then he was lifting me, carrying me through the penthouse to a bedroom that overlooked the city. He laid me on the bed with unexpected gentleness, his body covering mine. I'll take care of you, he promised between kisses. You and Lily both. Always. I know. And I did. This dangerous man, this criminal who made others tremble, would protect us with everything he had. I trust you. The admission seemed to undo him. He kissed me deeper, his hands learning every curve, every sensitive place, until I was gasping his name like prayer. We came together like a storm meeting the shore. Inevitable, powerful, transformative. He was gentle despite his strength, attentive to every response, every sound I made. When I shattered beneath him, he followed, my name on his lips like benediction. Afterwards, we lay tangled together, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin. Through the windows, Chicago sparkled like scattered diamonds, beautiful and harsh and home. Stay, he murmured into my hair. Not just tonight. Move in here. You and Lily both. I stiffened slightly. That's a big step. I know. But I want you here, where I can protect you properly, where I can wake up next to you every morning. He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at me. I'm not asking you to give up your independence or your dreams. Keep your classes, your work if you want. But come home to me. Let this be your safe place. What about Lily? How do I explain? Tell her the truth, that you met someone who cares about you both, that he wants to help, to be part of your family. His expression softened. I'm good with kids, Elena. I volunteer at children's hospitals, fund pediatric wings. Let me be good to your daughter. Tears blurred my vision. You really mean this? All of it? Every word. He kissed away the tear that escaped. I don't do anything halfway, Mirena. When I claim something, I keep it, protect it, cherish it. This is crazy. The best things usually are. He smiled. That devastating smile that transformed his face. Say yes, Elena. Take the leap. I thought about my cramped apartment, the constant struggle, the fear that haunted my every decision. Then I thought about this. Safety, security, belonging. A man who saw me and chose me anyway. Yes, I whispered. We'll move in. His kiss was triumphant, possessive, and achingly tender. The transition happened faster than I expected. Within a week, movers had packed our meager belongings and transported them to the penthouse. Dante had an entire wing prepared for Lily, bedroom painted purple, her favorite color, with butterfly decals on the walls and more toys than she'd ever owned. A private room for her medical equipment, close enough for monitoring, but separate enough that she didn't have to sleep surrounded by IV stands and machines. When I brought her to see it, her eyes went impossibly wide. Mama, is this really ours? Really ours, Butterfly? I knelt beside her, brushing hair from her face. Do you like it? It's like a castle. She spun in circles, taking in the space, then stopped suddenly. Is this because of your friend, the one who helped us? Yes. His name is Dante. He's special to me. And he wants to be special to you too, if you'll let him. Is he like a new daddy? Her voice was small, cautious. She barely remembered David, but the abandonment had left scars. I don't know yet, sweetheart, but he's someone who cares about us, who wants to keep us safe. Okay. She considered this with her characteristic seriousness. Can I meet him? Dante had been waiting in the living room, giving us space. When I brought Lily out, I saw something flash across his face. Nervousness. Maybe even fear. This powerful man, afraid of a 6-year-old's judgment. Lily, I said gently. This is Dante. Dante, this is my daughter. He crouched down to her level, making himself less imposing. Hello, Lily. Your mother has told me wonderful things about you. She studied him with those big brown eyes, assessing. Are you the one who made Mama smile again? His expression softened. I try to. Is it working? Yeah. A small smile appeared on her face. She's been happier lately, and she doesn't cry at night anymore. My heart clenched. I hadn't realized she'd heard those midnight tears. Then I must be doing something right, Dante said seriously. I hear you like butterflies. They're my favorite. Mama says I'm her butterfly. Well, I happen to know a place with thousands of butterflies. Would you like to visit? All 3 of us together? Her face lit up like sunrise. Really? When can we go? This weekend, if your mother agrees. He glanced at me, seeking permission. I nodded, throat tight with emotion. Then it's a plan. He offered his hand to Lily. Also, I should tell you, I have a library here. Lots of books. You can borrow any of them. Any of them? She took his hand trustingly. Even the big ones? Especially the big ones. He led her toward a room I hadn't yet explored, leaving me standing there, overwhelmed. He was perfect with her. Patient, attentive, genuine, And Lily, who'd been shy around strangers since her diagnosis, responded to him with surprising openness, maybe because children sensed truth better than adults. And the truth was that Dante genuinely cared. Weeks became months. Fall surrendered to winter, Chicago transforming into a snow globe city of white and gray. Lily's treatment continued with remarkable success. By December, Dr. Chen confirmed she was in remission. Remission. The word felt like winning the lottery, like miracles made manifest. My classes progressed well. I discovered I loved teaching theory, loved understanding how children learned and grew. My professors praised my insights, especially when I drew from experience with Lily and Dante. Dante became home, not just the penthouse, though I'd grown to love waking up surrounded by glass and sky, but him. His steady presence, his fierce protection, his unexpected gentleness. He attended Lily's hospital appointments, learned her medication schedule, read her bedtime stories in his smoke-smooth voice that made even fairy tales sound dangerous and romantic. He kept his criminal activities separate from our life, but I wasn't naive. I saw the late-night phone calls, the meetings with dangerous men, the occasional bruise he'd deflect questions about. But he never brought violence home, never let that darkness touch Lily or me. Christmas arrived with unexpected magic. Dante transformed the penthouse into a winter wonderland. Tasteful decorations, a massive tree Lily helped decorate, presents that made her squeal with delight. "You spoil her," I murmured Christmas morning, watching Lily tear through wrapping paper with childlike abandon. "I spoil you both." He pulled me against him, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Get used to it." Mrs. Chen joined us for Christmas dinner. Dante had insisted, since she'd become family. She'd accepted our unconventional situation with surprising grace, though she still occasionally gave me knowing looks when Dante was particularly possessive, which was always. He touched me constantly, a hand on my back, fingers laced with mine, arms around my waist, public declarations of ownership that should have bothered me, but instead made me feel cherished. That evening, after Lily had fallen asleep surrounded by new toys, and Mrs. Chen had gone home, Dante led me back to the windows overlooking the city. "I have one more gift for you," he said quietly. "Dante, you've already given me everything." "Not everything." He pulled a small box from his pocket, and my breath caught. Ring box. That was definitely a ring box. "Don't panic," he said with a slight smile. "I'm not proposing. Not yet. But I wanted you to have this." He opened the box, revealing a platinum band set with 3 stones, 2 smaller diamonds flanking a larger butterfly-shaped sapphire in deep purple. "The sapphire represents Lily," he explained softly. "Her strength, her beauty, her transformation. The diamonds represent you and me, protecting her, loving her, surrounding her with light." He removed the ring, taking my right hand. "This goes here, on your right hand, not your left. Because when I propose, and I will, Elena, it'll be with a different ring, but I wanted you to have this now, a promise that I'm committed to this family we're building." Tears spilled down my cheeks as he slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, catching the light, the butterfly sapphire seeming to glow. "It's beautiful," I whispered. "You're beautiful. You and Lily both." He cupped my face, wiping away tears with his thumbs. "I love you, Elena. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated, but I love you. You've transformed my life as surely as Lily's transforming from sick to healthy, and I want forever with you. I love you too." The words felt like freedom, like finally letting go of fear. "God help me, I love you, Dante Moretti." His kiss was deep, possessive, filled with promise. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "Thank you," he murmured. "For what?" "For seeing past the monster. For trusting me with your daughter. For letting me love you both." He pulled back slightly, his dark eyes serious. "I know what I am, Elena. I know the terrible things I do, but with you and Lily, I get to be something else, something better. You're not a monster." I pressed my hand over his heart, feeling its steady rhythm. Monsters don't volunteer at children's hospitals. Don't cry during animated movies when they think no one's watching. Don't read bedtime stories with different voices for each character. He laughed softly. You notice that? I notice everything about you, I smiled. Just like you notice everything about me. True. He sobered slightly. There's something else I need to tell you. Something I've been working on. Nervousness flickered through me. What? I'm transitioning out of certain activities, divesting from the more violent aspects of my business. He held my gaze steadily. It'll take time. You don't just walk away from my world. But I'm building legitimate operations, investing in real estate and technology, creating something clean that won't put you or Lily in danger. Shock rendered me speechless. You're going legitimate? For us? For all of us. Because I want to grow old with you, Elena. I want to walk Lily down the aisle someday. I want grandchildren who know me as a businessman, not a criminal. His voice roughened with emotion. I want a future that doesn't end in prison or violence, and you've made me want to be worthy of that future. You're already worthy. I pulled him down for another kiss, pouring everything I felt into it. Love, gratitude, hope. When we finally separated, both breathing hard, he smiled. Come to bed, mi reina. Let me show you exactly how much I love you. What about Lily? Is sleeping peacefully in her purple butterfly castle, with the monitor on so we'll hear if she needs anything. He lifted me effortlessly, carrying me toward the bedroom. And Mrs. Chen is on speed dial. Stop worrying and let me worship you properly. I laughed, the sound free and genuine. When did I become someone who gets worshipped? The moment I saw you behind that bar. He laid me on the bed, his body covering mine. You just took a while to notice. We made love slowly, tenderly, like we had all the time in the world, because we did. Dante had given me that. Time, security, the freedom to breathe without constant fear. Afterwards, wrapped in his arms with the city glittering beyond our windows, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Spring arrived with unexpected warmth, Chicago shaking off winter's grip. The butterfly conservatory visit Dante had promised became a monthly tradition. Lily never tired of walking among the flowers, while butterflies landed on her shoulders, her hands, her hair. Look, Mama, she called during our March visit, a monarch perched on her finger. He likes me. Of course he does, Dante said, crouching beside her. Butterflies recognize their own kind, beautiful, strong, transforming. She giggled, then carefully transferred the butterfly to Dante's hand. Now you have one too, he smiled. That genuine smile he reserved only for Lily and me. So I do. Thank you, butterfly. Watching them together, I felt my heart swell almost painfully. This was family, real, chosen, built on love rather than biology. That evening, after Lily had fallen asleep, Dante led me to the living room where a canvas waited on an easel, covered with cloth. I have something for you, he said, suddenly nervous. Another gift? Dante, just look. He removed the cloth. My breath caught. It was a painting, professional, gorgeous, depicting the three of us at the butterfly conservatory. Dante and I stood on either side of Lily, all of us laughing as butterflies swirled around us. But the artist had captured something deeper. The way Dante's hand rested protectively on Lily's shoulder. The way I leaned slightly into him. The way we formed a complete unit. I commissioned it from that artist you admire, he explained. Based on photographs from our visits, I wanted to capture this. Us. Together. Happy. Something permanent. Tears blurred the image. It's perfect. We're perfect. He pulled me against him. You, me, Lily. This family we've built. It's everything I never knew I needed. I never thought I'd have this, I admitted. After David left, after Lily got sick, I thought happiness was something other people got. Not me. You deserve happiness, Elena. You deserve everything. He tilted my chin up, his eyes serious. Which brings me to something important. Before I could ask what, he was dropping to one knee. My heart stopped. I know I said I'd wait, he began, pulling a different box from his pocket. But I've learned that waiting is overrated. Life's too short, too uncertain. And I know, absolutely know, that I want to spend every remaining day of mine with you. He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring platinum band with a perfect round diamond, flanked by smaller purple sapphires. Elena Martinez, will you marry me? Let me be your husband, Lily's father in every way that matters, and give you the forever you deserve? Yes. The word came out choked with tears. Yes, Dante. Absolutely yes. He slid the ring onto my left hand, where it belonged, and stood, lifting me into his arms and spinning me around. When he set me down, his kiss was deep, claiming, "Perfect, I love you," he murmured against my lips. "My queen, my heart, my everything." I held up my hand. "I love you too," watching both rings catch the light, the promise ring on my right, the engagement ring on my left. "Though you really do spoil me." "Get used to it. You're marrying a man who shows love through excess." He grinned. "Speaking of which, I should probably ask Lily's permission. She should have a say in this." We told her the next morning over breakfast. She looked between us, processing, then launched herself at Dante with surprising force. "Does this mean you'll really be my daddy?" she asked, her face pressed into his chest. "If you'll have me." His voice was rough with emotion. "I know I can't replace your biological father." "You already did." She pulled back, her expression serious beyond her years. "He left. You stayed. You take care of Mama and me. That makes you my real dad." Dante's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Then yes, Butterfly. I'm your dad now, forever." She hugged him again, and I watched these two people I loved most complete each other. My daughter who'd survived impossible odds. My fiancé who'd transformed from danger into safety. My family. We married in June, a small ceremony in the penthouse surrounded by the people who mattered. Mrs. Chen, Dr. Chen, a few of Dante's legitimate business associates, and Marcus, who'd become a trusted friend. Lily served as flower girl, scattering purple petals and beaming with pride. When Dante and I exchanged vows, promising forever, I meant every word. This man had saved us, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually. He'd given us hope when we had none, safety when we were vulnerable, love when we felt invisible. "I see you," he whispered during our first dance, echoing that moment months ago when everything changed. "I've always seen you, Elena, and I always will." "I see you too." I pressed closer. Not the crime lord or the dangerous man. Just Dante, who loves butterflies and bedtime stories, and me. Especially you. He kissed me softly, sweetly, as our family and friends applauded. Life wasn't perfect. Dante still had business complications. Enemies who occasionally surfaced, reminders that his past couldn't be completely erased. But he kept that darkness away from us, maintaining the safe haven he'd promised. I graduated with my teaching degree 2 years later, immediately getting hired at an elementary school near our home. Lily continued thriving, her remission holding strong, her hair growing back thick and beautiful. She started second grade with energy and joy I'd once feared she'd never have. And Dante transformed his empire piece by piece, becoming the legitimate businessman he'd promised. It took 5 years of careful maneuvering, but eventually, his name appeared in business journals for philanthropy and real estate ventures, rather than whispered criminal allegations. We had 2 more children, a son named Antonio and a daughter named Sophia, giving Lily the siblings she'd always wanted. Our family grew, expanded, filled the penthouse with laughter and chaos and love. Sometimes, late at night when everyone slept, I'd stand at those floor-to-ceiling windows and remember the girl I'd been, invisible Elena, struggling behind the bar, certain she'd never deserve more than survival. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I was Elena Moretti, wife, mother, teacher, beloved, seen, cherished, safe. And when Dante would find me at the windows, wrapping his arms around me from behind, I'd lean into him and feel nothing but gratitude for the chance encounter that changed everything, for the dangerous man who became my sanctuary, for the life we'd built from impossible circumstances. "What are you thinking?" He'd murmur into my hair. "That I love you, that I'd choose you again, every single time." "Good." His arms would tighten. "Because you're stuck with me, Mirena." Forever. Forever sounded perfect. And as I turned in his arms to kiss him, Chicago glittering beyond our windows like captured stars, I knew one absolute truth. I was no longer invisible. I was home.